Right, hello, welcome to the Debrief with Stephen Kelly. I'm your host. What we'll be talking about throughout this podcast is behind the scenes of survival TV, stuff what didn't make the edits, and we're going to get top tips from the survivalist we get on in this podcast. But a bit about me. I've done Naked and Afraid twice. I was on season 17, episode 5, and I also done Naked and Afraid Apocalypse, which has just aired in the United Kingdom, which I'm excited about. And our guest today, we have got the rattlesnake, Sam Mouzer. How are you, Sam? You all right?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much for having me on your inaugural episode, Steve. I'm honoured.
Oh, mate, thank you very much for taking the time out and getting on here. But I just wanted to get you on here and just ask a few questions, chat to you, get some updates and behind the scenes of what you've done on a challenge. But what I'd like before we started, I'd like to you give us a little background of who you are and what you've done.
So, my background, my day job, I'm a mental health support worker. I'm a army veteran, and I've been into kind of outdoorsy stuff all my life. And I was a huge fan of like survival shows, specifically Naked and Afraid. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I had the privilege of being able to participate in my first challenge, and I just couldn't believe it. It went amazing, and that's that's how I ended up here.
Well, that's what we wanted to talk about today, Sam. Obviously, you were a massive fan of the show and you had the option and the opportunity to go out there. Um, Let the viewers know what challenge you've actually did. Where about you go? Who was your partner?
So I did season 15, episode 1, Welcome to America. And I was with I had the best partner in the world on my first challenge. I was with Survival Lily, who's like a super famous Austrian YouTuber who again was a huge fan of the show, and took it as an opportunity to prove her skills in as real a survival scenario as possible. And yeah, we got out there, and I was in the my first challenge. It was the high desert of New Mexico, which really was a challenging place, but no doubt we can get into that.
Right, saying about that, when you first got out there, I want to talk about how you felt, edit what didn't make on the screen. And this is what we want to talk about now. So your first challenge, you were in New Mexico. When you were there and you stripped off clothes and your face and your partner, what's going through your head at the time?
Or do you know what? There's 1,000 things going through your mind, and I always say, I'm not normally a naked person. Like that took a lot of getting used to, and the disrobing when you start, they call it. And you don't think about it when you're watching the episodes, when you're watching the show, but like you see that everyone's stripping down from different angles. Well, it's only a very small crew, so there's only one camera there, so you actually have to strip off like 3 or 4 times. And I mean, just to put it in perspective, look how red I'm going just thinking about it. And our Lily, bitch, was very European about the nudity. Like she was really cool with it, which made it so much more awkward for me.
It's I'm the same like you though, Sam. I felt uncomfortable. Obviously, I get naked when I drink a few beers and do naked bars. But when you've got a cameraman there, and like you said, it's only one cameraman. I think people think that on Making the Phrase, you have a massive production behind you. You've got one cameraman, one sound guy, a producer, like a runner. You've got a small team who's with you, and you've got to disrobe about 1,000 times while they're moving around on the camera, and you get an awkward and awkward, and you start getting an innie instead of an outie. You don't know you don't know where your manhood's gone. But it's a weird experience, isn't it? It's a weird experience. But what I found on the challenge is the team are so professional. You forget you're naked after 5 minutes when you're in the zone.
Yeah, that I'd 100% agree with that. They've obviously done it hundreds of times, and the closest thing I can describe it to is I've never done it before, but I can imagine it's what it's like. When folks sit nude for like still life art classes, and it's the naked person. It's all very professionally done. Like they did everything they could in their power to make me feel more comfortable about it, because obviously they're not really meant to be there. They do everything in their power to make themselves as invisible as possible, I would say. And definitely I'd say after about 72 hours you kind of forget that the crew are there. I don't know if you experienced that.
No, I felt exactly the same. Obviously, the crew are not allowed to speak to you. They're in a contract, and you're there, and it's as real as it is, and that's what's the beauty of the challenge. But yeah, going back to yours, mate. I've got a few questions that I want to ask you about your challenge. Obviously, your episode was the premiere of your season. You got partnered with Lily, Survivor Lily, who's a master at bushcraft. She knows her skills inside and out. Uh, what was your highlight of that challenge? What they didn't show on telly? That's what I want to know. What didn't they show?
Oh,
Stop
wow.
sticking in with your NDAs. We don't want to give away any NDAs or any get you in trouble. But what didn't they show you on your challenge?
Well, to be honest, and it's first thing I'd say about the way they edit it is everything that happens. Obviously, it does. But obviously, because they have to edit it and condense it down, there's a lot of stuff that kind of you don't see, like reading in between the lines. But something I've always got to say, and obviously it's the episode aired years ago now, so I guess it doesn't really matter so much. But obviously, our biggest win was when Lily took out this gigantic jackrabbit. It was huge. But what folks don't know is about 2 days later, we got a massive ground squirrel that Lily took out. And it really was a huge squirrel. And I kind of know why they didn't put it in the episode. And I mean, I'm sure you'll know yourself. You're starving, you get to like day 17, 18, and you just go to such a primal place. And I'll be honest, this particular win, as they like us to say, was a little bit too bloodthirsty for television. But yeah, we did have a second big win, which was like this massive ground squirrel. So that's probably like the main, biggest, most awesome thing that didn't make it into the edit. But me and Lily have both discussed that we'd always talk about it given the opportunity.
Yeah. Do you know what? I always have a memory when I was in Colombia with my partner Sonny, and we actually got loads of spiders, brightly coloured spiders, and I thought he would have shown this, and Sonny cooked them all up, and I was looking at them, and I thought, you know what? She really wants to eat them. I'm not even going to say no, and I'm going to eat the crickets, which they didn't show. And Sonny puts them in like leaves, and she like steam them so they were soggy. They were actually soggy, and she ate them,
Oh,
but they were like brightly coloured spiders. And then I told her, after she ate them, I said, they could be poisonous. And she was like shocked. She was
you
shocked.
said it
Started eating
afterwards.
coal and it freaked her out. And it was like day three. It freaked her out. And I let her carry on with it. And then I was like, they could be poisonous then, you know. And she was like shocked and started eating coals. And I'm so gutted that they never showing that. But they can't show everything. They wait you 20. People forget this, right? They wait you for like 500 hours. They can only show an hour and a half. And when you get the viewers who say, "Oh, why didn't you do this?" or "Why didn't you do that?" Don't you think we tried all this? Do you think I'm just
Yeah.
sitting here twiddling my thumbs, scratching my bum, not thinking outside the box? And because they can't show it all, but the good thing about the edits, they show the cusp of what you've done. They show you majority of what you've done, but they can only fit in so much. But there's another few other
I think a
questions.
lot of sorry, Steve, go on, buddy.
You carry on. You carry on.
No, I think a lot of things as well that like I didn't kind of realize so much as a fan before I actually did a challenge is like how many kind of I call them full-time jobs we have out there. So, but every day you need to be working on your shelter, you need to be boiling and preparing your water, collecting your firewood. I mean, that's three full-time jobs for two people. And I always kind of classify anything else you get to do, you're making traps, you're going exploring, is almost like a hobby that you do after hours. I mean, I don't know if you had the experience of that yourself, Steve-O.
No, exactly the same. That is your full-time job. You are literally collecting wood, boiling water, titivating your shelter, and it's non-stop. It's literally non-stop. And when I was in Colombia, me and Sonny, it was like the fire was always smouldering. We never really got big flames, so you're constantly stripping back, you're preparing the wood, you're putting it under the shelter. So we made that raised jungle bed. All our wood was stored under there, and we'd pull out, we'd collect loads of grass all day. We'd open it all up, rip it open, let the sun dry it out all day. We'd put that into our shelter, have it like a bedding. Then we'd use that to always start the fires, and you're just constantly working. But you're not going to show that. People are going to realise they're not going to show that it's boring. It's the boring bit.
Yeah.
The production are not going to show you putting mud on yourself all the time to protect you from the sun. They want to see the proper bushcraft. You going through a full change as a human being. They want to show you capturing things or trying. They're not going to show everything where the fans don't get to see all that. And it is frustrating when you're in the social media groups and people saying, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? What do you think I've been doing for 21 days? Do you think I'm just sitting here suffering? We are trying everything you can think of.
Yeah, 100%. I think I probably did 6 or 7 different projects, as did Lily. I mean, some of the traps she made were like absolutely incredible, like things I'd never have thought of. And obviously, the main one that made it into the episode was her Vietnamese snap trap.
Yeah.
Which was, it was amazing. I mean, didn't even know you could have that much power in a trap. But she did all sorts. We did deadfalls. I believe they did show the fish trap that Lily made that got probably more than 50% of our crawfish throughout the challenge. But the speed at which she produced it was absolutely incredible. That ended up being we nicknamed that our weapon of mass production.
That's brilliant. That. Obviously, you've went and lived it in New Mexico. You've done the challenge. You've watched it back. If you were to go back out there, would you change your item? Obviously, we know you had your blade. Would you go in with a different item?
Right or wrong, like destroy me in the comments, but like items wise, I'm a basic bro guy. Knife, pot, fire starter. You're more of a survival instructor than myself, and obviously a lot of the training I've had over the years has come from you. So like obviously I go off the premise of the 5 C's of survival, and number one on that list is a cutting tool. So a knife is going first.
Yeah.
After that, I'm taking a combustion device. I'm taking a fire starter. I want a pot. You need a container to boil water in. If I had my choice after that, I'm going to be taking cordage, and that would probably be in the form of a fishing kit. And then if I had my option for a fifth one, which they'd never let you take, I would love to have like a tarp or even like or can you imagine having a Mylar blanket, Steve-O? Oh my goodness.
It gets cold at night on these challenges. People don't realize it's absolutely frozen when the temperature drops on these challenges.
Did you find that the chill gets worse as the challenge goes on? I found I lost body weight, the cold was just like digging an extra like inch into my body every night as the weight dropped off me.
Yeah, you're feeling that chill, mate. As soon as you start losing body fat and you're getting a lot skinnier, you're feeling every bit of the cold, like every bit of the cold. But
Well, that's something that shocked me in the high desert was just how cold it gets at night. Like I've never experienced anything like that. Like for 2 hours of an evening, no matter how hot the day had been, there would be a ground frost, and it's just I'd never prepared myself for that. Go on, Steve. Sorry, what were you saying, bro?
You're a bit like me though as well. I like to be basic. I always say your knife is your life, and that's what I'll take on it. It's funny how you've seen how naked the phrase progressed, and you're seeing all crazy items now. People taking obviously bow and arrows. That's a big thing. It's not a thing in the UK. We don't bow hunt. It's illegal, so it's not really a skill that our people do over here. But I'm always on the same side as you. Your knife's your life. You can do so much with a knife, 100%.
So I took my bow to Colombia, and I'd set it up the same way Lily had set hers up for our challenge in New Mexico. So it was like a very generically set up bow. I mean, I joked that it was like a standard issue bow, 40-pound draw. The riser was marked as well, almost like Gratz for targeting at different ranges. I took a 40-pound draw for like medium to small kind of mammals. On the premise that like I could probably draw 60, when I'm fresh and I've got a lot of muscle mass, and I was like going in my mind of what's this going to be like when I've lost 30 pounds of weight and haven't slept for 7 days. So I did take a lighter draw, but on reflection, I'd never take a bow again. I think if I had the option to go knife, pot, fire starter, I think my fourth choice would be fishing / trapping kit, without fail. That would be probably my main learning point from Colombia, to be honest. Yeah, go on, sorry, bro.
Mate, that's the same with me. I'll take exactly the same for. knife, fire starter, pot, cordage, some fishing gear. That's the basics you need to survive, and that's what I'll take. But talking about your second challenge, so you went and done New Mexico. You done an amazing challenge. It was the premiere of the season, season 15. You had a nice come together, you and Lily, where Lily was going to tap, you brought it together. Then you moved on to a totally different challenge. What was that switch like? Obviously, you're on such a high now. You've smashed the 21. You're a massive fan of the show. Now you've moved on to an XL challenge. What was that switch like going from one challenge to another?
Uh, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna be open and honest. I think I got a bit too big for my boots. Like I say, hats off to anyone who takes the bow with them. But you've got to know it. You've got to have lived it and breathed it your whole life. And like being an archery hobbyist, perhaps I'd call myself on reflection now. Like folks who take and are able to take things out with a bow, like absolute hats off to them. But I think I just got a bit too big for my boots. I should have took a fishing kit. 100%. I should have took a fishing slash trapping kit, and that's my biggest regret and learning point from Colombia. I think I wasted that additional like item choice that you get for your XL, if that makes sense, Steve.
Yeah. Mate, talking about your two environments, though, obviously the two totally different environments from New Mexico to Colombia. What environment did you find the hardest and why?
Oh, Colombia by a long shot. A jungle environment is just a different animal. Like in New Mexico, to use the old cliche, at least it was a dry heat.
Yeah.
Whereas Colombia, it's I mean, yourself, the moisture just gets into your skin, and you just go so soft and soggy. Like any toughening you've done for your feet, just it does nothing. It's like you've just literally stepped out the bath the whole time, because the sweat can't evaporate from you. Your body just retains so much heat, and I think I made the mistake of putting on way too much body weight. I should have been. I should have been bolder and braver, and had more confidence in my survival skills, and gone, look, I'm just going to go in the same weight that I did for my 21. I put on at least 10, 15 pounds. I was, funky. But for Colombia, I just put on way too much weight. And I just think I had so much mass to surface area. I just couldn't get rid of the heat from my body. And then on top of that, you've got like just I mean, your bug bites are horrendous, but the amount of bug bites you get, it just overwhelms your immune system. So not only was I put too much weight on, but I swole up so much. And I think just with the extra mass I was carrying, I just couldn't get fluids in my body fast enough, to help myself like starve and cool myself efficiently. So yeah, I think if I went again, especially to an environment like that, be confident with my skills, still have a little bit of extra meat on my bones, but perhaps not as much as I had, and go more down the skills route than the having enough weight on my body to know that I can get to the end. If does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. But to be honest, though, a lot of people don't realize that putting weight on is a skill that you need to have going out there. If you can have a pound a day to lose, that's going to give you them calories. A pound is like 3,500 calories. If you're putting on 30 pounds, you've got thousands of calories to take you along on these challenges. So that's a skill in itself, but you can't go too big. When I went to Africa, I put on too much weight. I put on nearly 40 pounds. That's the biggest I've ever been in my life. And don't get me wrong, I felt stronger when I was there. It helped me all the way through it. But I felt a bit sluggish, like I was a bit slow, I was a bit sluggish, even though I was grafting every day. I was ripping off the wriggly tin and I was yomping everywhere, and it was a long 35 days, a long stretch. I still feel like I put too much weight on. But going into these challenges, that is a survival skill. That's an extra item, having that pound of fat. So it is good to put it on, but you need to be at the right level. You can't go too big because you might fuck yourself over, and you can't go too less, so you won't have the calories to take you through. But looking back
Yeah,
on your challenges.
that's just to say on the weight thing, that is definitely, if anyone asks me for advice on weight gain for Naked and Afraid, I would definitely say don't go in with your supermodel six-pack rippling body. You will look gorgeous by the time you finish, I promise, but you've got to have a bit of love handles on you to get to the end. Definitely at least 10 to 15 pounds. You will look great when you finish, I promise.
Percent, mate, you're right there. You look at the average people lose 20, 30 pounds on a 21 days, don't they?
What
Oh,
was your weight loss on your 21, Steve?
I was 20, I think 25 pounds.
That's pretty harsh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
24, 25 pounds, I think it was. I need to check
uh,
again. I think they said, no, that was less than actually. It was 14 kilograms, but they put 14 pounds on the show. So it was double. So maybe
uh,
30 pounds, yeah. So it was 14 kilograms. Because when I weighed myself, and I told them, and I told the Colombian medic, I was like, oh, I've lost 14 kilograms, and I think they've put 14 pounds. When I watched it back on telly, it said 14 pounds. I went, no, I lost 14 kilograms. I was like dropped straight down, but I put on a good bit of weight for that, but not as big as I was for Colombia. I think I went up to like 84 kilograms, whereas Colombia I was like 88, 89 kilograms. I was a heavy boy, like.
I think the way to like equate it for our UK and US fans is like to create a unit of measure. Like we're talking about bags of sugar. Like when you buy a bag of sugar, you're losing like 1.2 bags of sugar a day.
Yeah,
Like that's an incredible. You're losing a newborn baby in weight
a
every
day.
week.
Oh, yeah, sorry, a week. Yeah, crazy,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's
Just by
unbelievable.
just by not even working and hacking trees down all day. But here's a question for you, Sam. So obviously you've done two challenges now. You've been into New Mexico. You've operated in a jungle environment in Colombia. All the biggest factors. What's been the hardest factor? Whether that be weather, whether that be cold, whether that be sickness, whether that be your partner. Because a lot of people have frictions with their partner who find the challenge harder. What's been the hardest part of the challenge for you? Your mindset, cold, weather, partners. What's been your hardest, toughest factor on these challenges?
Oh, psychology straight away. Psychology. It's all in your mind. Like, I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I don't. I'm not saying that you don't have to make sure that you're in good physical condition, or as best physical condition as you can possibly be for these challenges. But definitely psychology. Like in Colombia when I went, I try not to regret my decision, but I do. But like that pain I was in, I described it. I don't know if they showed it on this episode, but it felt like someone shoving screwdrivers into my back, and like all I could do was like think back to like my military days and my medical training, and like all I can remember is like being in a like a death by PowerPoint lecture and someone explaining that I think it was before, when you're doing your operational training to go abroad, and like they were I just remember this single sentence kept going through my mind. Kidneys like to fail suddenly and they like to fail in pairs. And all I could think was just how much agony I was having in the lower small of my back. And that phrase was just bouncing around my mind. Um, I'll start booing if I get into it too much. I just remember seeing my doctor afterwards, and she was like, "Sam, it could have been any number of things. She genuinely thought that I might have slipped a disc, which is like the jelly stuff between
Yeah,
the vertebrae and your back, and it gets like a little bulge on it. I mean, for all I know, I mean, I was getting riddled with bullet ant bites. I mean, a bullet ant could have just nipped me on the small of my back, and that lasts about 72 hours. Maybe it was that. I just all I could think was I'm a crap a kidney out.
yeah.
I'm not going to pay my mortgage. Is my insurance going to cover me? Like if I have to, be on dialysis every fortnight the rest of my life, and it just got inside my head. It just got inside my head. It was psychology, and it's like it's a huge regret. I think I made the right decision in that time at that moment, but it still eats me up now. Like I need to get back out there and just deal with that. I need some redemption, bro.
I think you're right, though. Psychology is the biggest part. You could be the strongest bloke in the world, you could have the best skills in the world, but if you ain't got it in the mind, it can play on at you. And when I was in Colombia, them insect bites were relentless on me. It was all day, every day, and I could do all day, every day. And that's what always in my mind is, I need to get over this. These are not beating me. And I was just having a constant battle in my mind, which you look at the telly when you watch it. I'm just cracking on. In my brain, I was crying. But my exterior wasn't showing, and I was just staying. But in my head, I'm like, these little insects are fucking me up. My body was eating head to toe, but I wasn't letting nothing break me at the time. But the psychology, but people can get in their own minds and start spiraling out of control. But look, talking about that now, I see you getting a bit upset and thinking about it. But let's talk about that. I want to go a bit deeper into this now, Sam, because we're on the podcast and this is the debrief. This is the survival debrief. What you regret about leaving that challenge?
Oh, just not getting to the end. Like it. So getting to the end of that first 21, it's the most. I mean, I'm sure you'll agree. The most exhilarating, most incredible feeling. You can like it's crazy. It's like you're the weakest you've ever been in your life, but at the same time, I felt the strongest I've ever felt in my life. Like when I got to the end of that 21, I felt like I could have been shot with a cannonball and it would have bounced off. And just regretting not seeing it to the end, especially when obviously, like the season airs and you see everyone get to the end and there's like that jubilation and knowing what I missed, like it's all consuming.
Yeah, yeah. Here's one for you then, all right? If you got a phone call today for redemption, would you go?
I'd be on the plane. Yeah, I actually keep a bag packed. Um, and actually, I think for like my personal well-being, and knowing I'm kind of like on the look like I'm twiddling my bean right now, thinking twiddling my bean. It's just I keep a bag packed, and it's like I don't know if anyone's ever read or seen the movie Fight Club, but like Naked and Afraid becomes the reason that you manage your nutrition, that you keep your feet hard, that you keep your psychology tight, that you just practice your skills every once in a while. And it just becomes that reason, that little thing in the back of my mind that's just for me in my day-to-day life. And it kind of keeps me healthy. It keeps me ticking. I don't know if you're very similar.
Well, I'm like that all the time. I'm always ready. I'm staying ready. I'm ready to jump on the plane tomorrow. Yeah, I'm in the gym every day. I'm walking around with barefoot shoes. I'm always practicing my skills. I'm always booking on extra survival courses that enhance myself as an outdoorsman, bushcraftman, survivalist. Because I'm ready to go at the drop of a hat. I'm excited for the opportunity to go again. And there's not many people in the UK who've done this, and that's what excites me. And we're quite a close-knit community. Me, you, Jenny, Jamie from the UK. We all know each other really well. And it'll be exciting to get back out there. And hopefully one day we all get invited back. So Disco, if you're watching this, we're ready to rock and roll. But here's one thing
A
for you,
little
Sam.
shameless plug there.
Shameless, it's always a shameless plug. But we're starting to close up now on this podcast. And I want you to sum up 3 survival tips within 2 minutes. Give me 3 top survival tips in 2 minutes.
Right, number one, you've said it already. Your knife is your life. Make a beeline for the water. Now, I'm talking in terms of naked and afraid. So, as a third thing, I'm going to say in your day-to-day life, preparation is 10 times more valuable than any knowledge or skills you'll have. Always make sure that your car has water in it and a first aid kit. Be planning, be prepared. Have enough food in your house in tins and non-perishables to be able to go a few weeks. You don't have to overdo it. You don't need an underground bunker, but just be ready would be my number one advice.
Happy days, Sam. But we're going to start closing up on this podcast now, mate. I want to say thank you very much and appreciate you for taking your time out and jumping on this podcast. You are my first guest, and hopefully we get you back on here in the future. If anyone wants to follow you and follow your life and see what you're up to, where can they follow you?
Okay, so I always joke, you can just Google Sam Mouzer, as pretentious as that sounds. And once you finish laughing at the videos about me getting burnt in unfortunate places and ticks in unfortunate places, you can follow me on Facebook. I'm Sam Mouzer. You can follow me on Instagram, Sam Mouzer, and all my social media should come up if you just Google search me, Mouzer.
Oh, absolute legend, Sam. Honestly, it's been a pleasure having you on here today. Like I always say, everyone, all right, on all my videos, make sure you come and like this video, comment some questions, and I'll get Sam to answer them, all right? Comment below. And make sure you subscribe to our channel. This is our first survival debrief. We're looking and getting people all from Naked and Afraid on here and other backgrounds, whether it be Alone and other survival TV shows, and learn what's going on in the background. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe.
Absolute
We're
pleasure.
gonna love
Thanks
you
so much
all.
for having me.
Come on. See you all soon.